Feeling the pressure for your ZIMSEC history paper to exam? You're not alone. Many students struggle with the complex core concepts. This video cuts through the confusion, revealing the exact critical topics you need to master to ace that paper. Stop guessing and start strategizing your success today.
Differentiate the difference between Vienna Settlement and Congress system. Are we together? So in this case now, what is sharing the spoils of the vanquished? I am now repeating, is sharing the territories they've taken from the defeated powers. Right. So in the case of sharing the spoils of the vanquished, we evaluate the fact that the evidence which shows us the great power also was under the jurisdiction of Prussia, which means all 2/5 of the countries which were within the Great Duchy of Warsaw were now under the control of Prussia, which is an ultimate look or an ultimate evidence to prove that at Vienna Settlement, the great powers were sharing the spoils of the vanquished.
Feeling the pressure for your ZIMSEC history paper to exam? You're not alone. Many students struggle with the complex core concepts. This video cuts through the confusion, revealing the exact critical topics you need to master to ace that paper. Stop guessing and start strategizing your success today.
Is why this is one of the prominent questions among the questions which I gave you concerning the Vienna Settlement, which I believe this is one of the last questions we are going to discuss. But now concerning the Vienna Settlement, we have done and dusted. Right. So the question says, the Congress of Vienna was a settlement held for the great powers to share the spoils of the vanquished. So according to L.C.B. Seaman as a scholar in his book From Vienna to Versailles, he referred the term spoils of the vanquished as the defeated ones. Are we together? So in this case, the question demands candidates to review or to evaluate that at the Congress of Vienna, the statesmen or the great powers, they gather for themselves to gain or for themselves to share the defeated territories or to share something they took from Napoleon whom they have defeated. Are we together? Then, however, good candidates must include the ideology that despite the fact that at the Congress of Vienna, the great powers, they've shared the spoils of vanquished, they've implemented other principles for the benefit of other individuals or for all smaller and greater nations alike. Are we together? So in this case now, the term Congress of Vienna and Vienna Settlements, chinwani kuti Congress of Vienna yakatangira 1814 ikapera 1815, kamusangano kakatanga muna December 1814 kakapera muna January 1815. They've just laid down principles avaida kuti avazomashandisa in order to maintain peace in Europe. But Congress system yatova imwe nyaya yawo yakasiyana ne Vienna Settlement. So good candidates must know or must have the ability to differentiate the difference between Vienna Settlement and the Congress system. Are we together? So in this case now, what is sharing the spoils of the vanquished? I am now repeating, is sharing the territories they've taken from the defeated powers. Right. So in the case of sharing the spoils of the vanquished, we evaluate the fact that the evidence which shows us the great powers at Vienna Settlement, they were only sharing the spoils of the vanquished. It is the ideology whereby the Great Duchy of Warsaw was shared amongst Russia and Prussia, where Russia gets 2/3 of the Great Duchy of Warsaw, and these 2/3 of the countries that were shared, they were now under the superiority or the leadership of Russia, which means that the great powers at Vienna Settlements, they were sharing the spoils of the vanquished. Furthermore, 2/5 of the part of the Grand Duchy of Warsaw was under the jurisdiction of Prussia, which means all 2/5 of the countries which were within the Grand Duchy of Warsaw were now under the control of Prussia, which is an ultimate look or an ultimate evidence to prove that at Vienna Settlement, the great powers were sharing the spoils of the vanquished. Furthermore, Britain, according to the great powers, it accumulated is according to LCB Seaman and according to H.O. Peacock. Britain was given the Mediterranean Sea and the West Indies. It managed to control and became the mother of the seas by giving the ability or the ideology to. So now it was enjoying the spoils of the vanquished. Why? Because before the Vienna Settlement, there was the continental system whereby they were battling with Napoleon for the control of this continental system, since it was a source where they use for trading ideologies and perspectives. Right. Furthermore, Prussia was given the Rhineland to take control of the Rhineland. It is enough evidence to show that at Vienna Settlement, they shared the spoils of the vanquished. Furthermore, Austria was given Venetia and Lombardy, and these were Italian states which were put under which were given to Italy. And above all, we have got what we call in German vakapuachi. They controlled all 38 states of Germany. And this prove what Austria, sorry. And Italy, these were Italian states, sorry, which were given to Austria. And 38 states of Germany, they were under except Prussia, they were under the jurisdiction of Austria, which proved that they were enjoying, are we together, the spoils. Furthermore, Russia, so this is enough evidence to show that they were sharing the spoils of the vanquished. However, there are other principles which were initiated by the great powers at the Vienna Congress. For example, the balance of power. Balance of power was initiated whereby in France, Louis XVIII was repositioned again in France to be the king. And this proved that they wanted to maintain balance of balance of power. It was the ideology. Balance of power, it was the ideology whereby all the European states, they stated that there should be no one who is above others. For example, like what Napoleon was now doing, whereby he created the Grand Duchy of Warsaw. And I created Grand Duchy of Warsaw, he was the one who was a controller. So they wanted to initiate the ideology whereby all powers were equal amongst each other and maintaining each other's territorial integrity. Furthermore, Furthermore, we have got what we call the principle of legitimacy, whereby all legitimate rulers were restored back to their throne. For example, Louis XVIII was restored in France, which proved that this was one of their major aims in order to prevent revolutions. And then apart from that, they wanted to create, to avoid or to avert future French aggression by creation of buffer zones, whereby Holland and Belgium were merged so that in any case France cannot avert against the rules and regulations of the great powers, as according to H.O. Peacock. Furthermore, they wanted to promote international trade, whereby there should be no blockade or whatsoever. This is what they wanted to maintain, such that trade, maintain and we enjoy. So this was the demands of this question. Those were